Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Kristen, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Amber and Cindy.
Hello.
I think we have a fun topic today. We are talking about living fearlessly, and what exactly does that mean? So, when I think of living fearlessly, I think of asking a question to myself. What might I be postponing or avoiding or giving up on because of fear?
Mm-hmm.
And what would it look like or feel like if I just did those things without having that barrier or that block?
Right.
And what is that block? So, my first thoughts were, what exactly is fear, right? If you're living fearlessly already, then you may not even really think about it. You may just do it. And some of us may...
Some people are kind of fearless, I think.
Yeah. It's just natural for them. And maybe they're driven by that.
Maybe.
And some of us are all too familiar with what it's like to live in fear. And by fear, I'm not meaning necessarily like terrors, physical terrors, right?
Right.
But what I mean is failure, fear of failure, fear
allowing yourself to. Oh, good. I'm sorry.
Fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of judgment, fear of change, and fear of success.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like fear of being challenged in a way. You know, that the challenge of facing those things that you and moving forward anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this a lot. I've talked about a lot this in my life a lot over the last few years on the podcast, because I have, especially at this point in my life, because I am still in a major transition. To me, I still feel like I'm in transition from being a married person to being a widow. And that growing into that part of my life I've had a lot of fears involved with that. So, yeah, it's something I struggle with a lot. So I'm anxious to talk about this because I am.
So one of the other ones that I didn't list earlier was when you said fear of challenge, you know, of actually like being afraid of the obstacles and the difficulties.
Right.
One of the things that I didn't mention was fear of pain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean pain not just in like the actual physical sense, but emotional pain or actual like
the struggle,
discomfort. Yeah, just discomfort in general.
Well, growth is discomfort.
Exactly, yeah. And it actually was something I didn't realize that I had a fear of until I went and spoke with a counselor.
Right.
And then we realized that I had an aversion to pain. And aversion is also a fear, right? You do things or don't do things because
you avoid it,
you're avoiding it, right? And that is a fear if it's something that you try to not encounter because of the possibilities that it can provide. And so, you know, that to me was really enlightening to see it from that perspective. I thought I just was being lazy or procrastinating.
Right.
And I didn't realize that my procrastination was fear or pain avoidance.
Right.
And so once I realized what like the root issue was, or, you know, or got closer to the root, maybe never exactly defining what the root issue is, how I got to that, but just better understanding it helped me realize that some of the barriers that I had that were keeping me from just living a normal life in some ways was something that was easily overcome. that I could easily overcome
Right.
with the right mindset. So, when you circle back to living fearlessly, what does that mean? So living fearlessly means choosing faith over fear.
So it doesn't mean, I want to clarify this. It doesn't mean that you aren't afraid.
Right.
It means that you move forward in spite of your fear.
Exactly. Yes.
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 Feel the fear and go for it.
Yes.
Yes. Acting despite uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also part of the fear, is not knowing the answer to something. And I think in reality, we really don't know the outcome of anything. We can utilize our skills of probability,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that sometimes fear can manipulate those probability sets and make us think that something is more likely. So living boldly is also, a way of living fearlessly, being bold. So loving boldly,
Okay.
and loving in the sense of loving everyone
Right.
boldly.
Even people you think are not worthy of love. And is that what you're talking about?
Well, I wouldn't say it that way.
Well,
but
no.
What I'm saying is that I'm not just talking romantic love, but loving boldly in everything that you do
Right.
as well.
Okay.
And, brotherly love, loving
Okay.
boldly. So
Okay.
not living in fear like xenophobia.
Right. Right.
And then trusting your purpose more than your comfort.
Okay.
So, and, in order to be fearless in that, you have to step out of that comfort zone.
Right. Which we've talked about before, about you don't grow until you move out of that comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where you kind of have to experience possible pain or potential pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really intrigued that a type of fear is actually success. And I wondered what that might look like. Have you ever experienced fear of success?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to hear your fear of success.
Just fear of it's more in a sense of like whenever I decided that I wanted to go to grad school and take my career further, I put it off and I put it off and I put it off, and I kept making excuses because I was afraid to actually take that next step in my life. So in a way, that's kind of like a fear of success, because, like you get in your job where you're stuck in a rut and you're stuck in a place and you want to leave, but you're afraid to go somewhere else or do something else. So that, in a sense, that is fear of success.
Is it fear of success or fear that it's
change? Fear of change.
Mm-hmm. I think, like, when I think of fear of success, I think of, and this is a fear that I've had with my travel agency. What if I market myself so well that I'm overwhelmed by the amount of business that comes in?
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm working all the time because I'm so successful. And that's not what I really want.
Mm-hmm. I think mine is similar to that. Like, maybe in my role where I work right now, it's a good career.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great opportunity. I've been there 15 years. And at the same time, it's not my dream job.
Right.
So if I'm successful at my job, the fear there to me is, what if I'm putting all this success into something that's not...
You don't love. Yeah.
Exactly. And so...
I've felt that way before also in past jobs.
Yeah. Because what if you are successful, but it's not what you want at the end? Because then it feels like, wow, I won, but I don't want these winnings.
Right.
And I think that's kind of strange to think about, like, not wanting to be successful at your job just because it's not your dream job because you
Right.
want to do good in all things. But what if that is keeping me from, it's holding me back from another career because I
Right.
am successful, but it's not the right career,
Right.
right? So to me, that when I first was seeing like a fear of success, I was like, nah, who has that? But then I started thinking about it and I was like, wait, maybe I have a little bit of that too.
I do have a little of that.
Because I
Yeah.
could see where that's coming from and how
It's-
that might stop me from actually like applying my
Well-
attentions elsewhere,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and mine stops me from dedicating myself to the work at hand because I'm afraid to get too consumed by whatever it is, you
And
know,
what it might look like.
what it might look like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why have I not ever published? I know I'm a great writer. Many people have told me that I'm a great writer
Mm-hmm.
my whole life. Why have I never stepped up and published something? I'm afraid.
That once you publish one thing, you'll be expected
You'll be
to do it again.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
another
You'll
fear
if,
of
Yeah.
if I have a successful novel, then I will be expected to come up with another successful novel.
That is a common fear of success from people.
Imposter syndrome.
Well,
Yeah.
or and not even just that, but the fear that you'll have to continue that level of success in order
Exactly.
to be successful. Is the success a flash in the pan, a one-hit wonder, or is it something that you can sustain?
Yeah.
And how hard do you have to work to sustain it? And that
Right.
that is a real fear.
Yeah.
It is.
And then there's that caveat that failure then
Yeah.
is surely inevitable because
At
if
some
you're
point,
successful,
if you're successful,
then
there's
you
going to
can
be
still
ups and
be-
downs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we settle with failure because having the roller coaster of success
And then
failure seems to hurt more than just succeeding and
Yeah.
failing.
Yes.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So-
is.
This is where fear runs the show.
Yeah.
So, overthinking, clearly, that's
Obviously.
easy to do. Perfectionism,
Uh-huh.
people pleasing, and procrastination,
Yeah.
which we talked
I've
about.
done all of those.
I know we talked about perfectionism and procrastination going
Absolutely.
hand in hand.
Yes.
But people pleasing is also a really big one as well because oftentimes we want to make sure that our outcomes or what we do impacts other people and or maybe doesn't impact other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw an interesting quote, your fear is a liar.
Oh yeah. Fear
I think,
is a
Amber,
liar.
you said something too that was a quote earlier. When you were talking about, I think, a Brene Brown book.
Brene Brown actually has a lot of
Oh, she does.
Quotes
a lot
on,
of her research
on
is
fear.
based on fear. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of her most famous is that it's our fear of the unknown and our fear of being wrong that create most of our conflict and anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
And I can tell you that right now is the reason why I don't like step up and put my thoughts and feelings out there. It's my fear of being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm right and I know that I'm right, it's my anxiety is that like somebody who is blatantly wrong is going to just like flip out on me and I think most of that is fear of like being and sounding stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't even really call it a fear. I would call it like I don't like to be made to look stupid. I think because I've been called stupid
is a
a
fear.
lot in my life.
Yeah. Me too.
And I don't like to feel stupid.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe it is a fear, like a
I think
childhood step
it is.
back
I think it
fear.
is.
So I found this really good quote from Will Smith in After Earth. Fear is not real. the only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination.
Oh, that's
Danger
so true.
is very real, but fear is a choice.
That is very true. Fear. Yeah, to fear something, you're choosing to do it.
So, how do you train your brain to differentiate between real danger, right? Like imminent doom,
Right.
and just discomfort, like growth discomfort. So, what are some things that you guys do whenever you find yourself in like fear mindset
I-
to get yourself out?
I often do like a pros and cons list or something. If it's something, a decision, and I'm afraid of making a decision, I weigh the pros and cons, because oftentimes when I write those cons down, I see that they're, if I kind of weigh the weight of them, and you can kind of see, oh, the chance of that happening is pretty low. Or if you see the chance of that happening is very high, then you know that it's a real danger. I think that's, you have to look at it that way, and you have to look at it as a versus thing. So you're looking at, if I do this, then this is what could happen. But if I don't do this, then blah blah blah.
Right. So you're really fighting the fear with logic.
Yes, it really is a logic and I tend to do that a lot. But I do make lists, I'll write it down, and I also ask other people for their opinion. Am I being illogical about this? Am I worrying too much about this? Should I do this? And if I get an overwhelming number of people that are saying, go for it, quit being afraid of it, then I know that it's just my irrational fear. And I'll give a perfect example of this. Last year when I wanted to go to Paris. So I think I've mentioned this many, many times, but I'll give the whole story here in case you're the first time listener. I've been a widow for about 18 months now, but it had been less than a year. And well, actually, it had been only a few months when this opportunity came for me to put together a travel group to Paris. And I'm a travel agent, so I had this opportunity to help build this group and arrange for their travel to Paris, to do a haunted tour of Paris over the week leading up to and through Halloween. And I've never been to Paris, and I kind of wanted to go, but I couldn't find anyone to go with me. And I am one of those people, I have a hard time traveling by myself. I'm afraid, I guess you could say. I don't trust myself to stay on task, to not get lost, to stay with the group, or to make friends in the group, or there's a lot of things going on there, right? And so I was really, really nervous about it. And so I kept asking people, should I go? Should I go? I kept weighing it back and forth
For like a year.
No, it wasn't that
Seemed
long.
like it.
It was about 4 months. And I finally, everybody kept telling me, you should just do it. You should just do it. You should just do it. And I finally got up the courage to just say, yes, I'll go, and I'll be a roommate with somebody I don't know, which is another fear of mine. I'm always afraid that I will be too much for that person, because I've often been told I am too much. I'm too loud. I snore too much. I snack in bed, whatever reason. And so I was afraid to do it. And I finally just bit the bullet and said, okay, I'll do it. And I met my potential roommate, and we got along great. And I was really excited about it. And then, as it so happens, she had a foot injury and wasn't able to travel. And that meant that I was going to have to travel by myself again. And I was already signed up for this. I've already bought my tickets, all this stuff. And I just decided to actually just go ahead and do it and go with this group of people I don't even know. They're not strangers to me. Like some of them I know in passing or casually, but they're not friends. And they are, many of them are a group of people who are well acquainted with each other. So I'm kind of the outsider. And I decided I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy myself, whether they like me or not. I'm just going to not even care. And I wound up doing some things on my own right away. When I went on this, so not about 9 months after my husband had died, I was traveling by myself, solo, for the first time ever outside of the country. I've never been to Europe. And I went on this trip, and it was very, what is the word I'm looking for? It was very freeing for me because I realized I can travel by myself. Once I got there, I got up I ate dinner by myself, something I hate to do. And then I walked the streets of Paris after dark by myself to find a supermarket or a convenience store or somewhere where I could buy a Coke Zero and a snack for my dinner because I didn't bring it with me on the plane for obvious reasons. And so, it was just like I decided to get over my fear and just do it. And then by the end of the trip, I wound up I hitched a ride with someone. There was some bravery there in just asking them, can I ride with you to the Louvre? And I went to the Louvre and we parted ways, and I was alone, completely alone in a foreign city on another continent, halfway around the world, and I was okay. And I walked back to our hotel from the Louvre and I was okay. I was a little nervous at first, but then after I did it, I felt so brave.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I had been freed I'm not completely free of that. Obviously, I still am like, I would rather travel with other people, and I'm trying to find other people to travel with me to go do things and all that. But I realized I can go with strangers. I can go to a place I've never been with strangers and do things I've never done and be okay. Which, by the way, is also my word of the year this year. But there was a real fear there. And I don't know where I was going with that. What was your question?
Just, what did you do to overcome it?
Yeah.
And so you made your pros and cons
I did.
list.
I made my pros and cons list, and I kept asking people, should I go? Should I go? Should I go? And I did. I literally for 4 months was like working on this pros and cons list, and I consulted my tarot, and I got a charms reading at a wellness expo, and I got out my pendulum and asked the question multiple times, and I'm like, everything was pointing to just go, just do it. And still I resisted it. The fear in me made me keep resisting it, even though the answer was overwhelmingly, yes, go. And I knew in my heart that answer was yes, go. But
but
you were
just
trying
didn't
to get
want to.
something to talk you into it. Yeah.
I needed something to talk me into it. You're exactly right. But I think once I did, it was probably the best thing I've done for myself, since my husband died. It really was a gift to myself. It was actually a gift from him as well, because right before he passed in January, and that Christmas he had bought me brand new luggage. And when the luggage didn't get delivered by Christmas, it came in like a couple of days later. And when it came in, I opened it, and his words to me were, go travel. Literally, he said, go travel. And, sorry. So it still brings tears. So I fought it, but it was a gift he gave me as well. was to go and do the thing he knew I love, because I love to travel. And he wanted me to learn that I can just go do it. It's okay. And I needed to learn that I can go do it alone. I don't have to rely on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that has always been my fear, because I've never been alone. And we've talked about this before too, on the podcast. I've never lived alone. I have never in my entire life lived alone.
Mhm.
I've always been with my family, a sibling, a child, a niece,
A roommate.
a roommate,
Yeah.
a family, a husband. I have always, always, always lived with someone else. And so to travel alone is terrifying. It was terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that the courage to live without, to fearlessly just get on that plane and go thousands of miles
Mm-hmm.
was, that was a good thing for me. What about you, Amber?
Empowering, very,
It was empowering.
very
yes.
brave.
And I'm still working on it, like I said, but
I do that too. The pros and cons list.
mm-hmm.
I do that too. And I know I'm going to say something that's going to make Kristen laugh, because we were just joking about this before the podcast, was that I was looking online, how can you live fearlessly? And one of the suggestions, and I laughed at it, was meditate. Right. And so
Yeah.
And you
when
made her
I
laugh.
when I make a lot of big decisions like that, aside from the pros and cons list, is that in a sense I do meditate about it.
Mhm.
So Kristen's gonna laugh at this. Amber meditated.
Yeah.
I do. I will sit in a quiet room, in a
Mhm.
quiet place, and I will just think over my options.
Yeah.
To talk myself down. And okay, so I have social anxiety disorder. So anything social, I fear, is scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm really good at my job and I get up and I teach and I talk in front of people all the time, I still have that social anxiety that I have to talk myself down from it, or not talk myself down from it, but talk myself down before I walk into it and do it. So, and that's part of my meditation and I have to do this before almost every phone call too, is that I sit there and I breathe and I think about what I'm going to say,
Mhm.
and I meditate on it. And I don't know, you're talking about Paris. I want to say one of the last things that I made a bunch of fearful decisions about, and this was completely dumb. I mean, well, it's probably not dumb, but because a lot of people have anxiety and fear about this, was a lot of the decisions that I made for my wedding.
Uh-huh.
I agonized over a lot of my decoration and wedding choices, because I knew that they weren't normal choices.
Right.
I knew that they weren't choices that
They
you
were
would
beautiful.
go and see at a traditional wedding. I knew a lot of my stuff, from the way I dressed and the jewelry that I gave my bridesmaids. A lot of these decisions were things from my heart. But when I first started making decisions, I agonized over these decisions. What if these are the wrong decisions? Well, I should just do a traditional country whatever wedding. I should have traditional colors. I should have colors that go together or whatever, which my colors did go together, but but
But a lot of people grief about your choices.
A
and
lot of
I
people
know,
gave me grief about my choices.
and a lot of people just question them, which I know I count myself as one of them, because I
Yes.
was like,
and
just second guessing,
Mhm.
but your choices wound up being the right choices for
Yeah.
you. They did. And I feel bad that I questioned them.
Well, at first a lot of people did question, and I was asking opinions,
Right.
and I was wanting opinions, and I was having anxiety over it, and then I just kind of had like a mental breakdown where I just like kind of like mentally screamed at myself, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care about anybody else's opinions.
Well,
I'm going to do whatever the hell
and
I want to do.
I was going to say that's sometimes we agonize over those choices, and we have so much fear of making the
Yeah.
wrong choice. I am notorious for having fear. I have a very low trust of my own intuition
Mhm.
and stuff, and so I second guess myself all the time. And I think sometimes we do that to the point that it harms us. It
Yeah,
really
we do
does.
have a
We
mental
do.
breakdown,
And sometimes you just
Yeah.
need to just say, no, it doesn't matter. This is what I want. This is what I need.
Yeah.
And other people's opinions don't, if other people are giving you too many opinions, then it their opinion is not the one that really counts.
I know. And it seemed like, every step of the way somebody was like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
It's like when Jason and I picked breakfast food for our
Yeah.
menu. Are you sure you want to do
But
breakfast
everybody
food?
loved the
I
breakfast
know.
food. Yeah.
And then like when, we picked like the cake flavor. Are you sure you want to do red velvet? Or when we picked like or like whether we had an open bar or not.
Mhm.
Are you sure you want to have an open bar? It was just like every decision that we were making was being questioned by somebody, or whatever. And even like down to the dress, like I found like this perfect dress that I was absolutely in love with. Are you sure you want to have a dress that shows your shoulders and your back and your arms? And, so it was just like, you know what? And I did. And I even went as far as buying a little shrug or whatever to go with my dress so I could cover my arms, because that is like one of my like weakness things is my arms. I refuse to wear anything that shows my arms and my legs, And so that was like a big leap of faith myself, having a strapless dress.
Which is so funny because both you and Kristen swore
That
when
we
you were
would
going to
never-
get married that you would not wear a strapless dress.
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
not have a strapless gown. And both of you had strapless gowns,
And they were gorgeous.
and they were
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
we
you
looked
looked
Yeah.
stunning.
And
You
we
both
looked
looked stunning
gorgeous.
in them. Yes.
And then like the decision to have purple hair at my wedding was
Mhm.
questioned as well. Are you sure you want to have purple hair?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah.
I have purple hair. Yeah.
In the end, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a spectrum of colors. I made it look like a starry night. I had skulls.
Yeah, I know.
I had a purple velvet cake.
You had
We had peanut
Edgar
butter
Allan-
whiskey.
you had Edgar Allan Poe standing in one corner.
An Edgar Allan Poe statue, which was funny in itself
Yes.
because my aunt, my future aunt, Jason's aunt, it was jokingly, Jessica, my sister-in-law, was like, you should put that on the wedding registry. And I did it. And I did it to like freak out my father-in-law out. A lot of the decisions I made, I knew they were going to freak out my father-in-law.
Yeah.
So a lot of decisions that I made, and I used to like joke about a lot of more scandalous decisions that I'm going to do this. Oh, Edgar Allan Poe statue is going to be at the wedding, blah, blah, blah. And it freaked him out. And so my sister-in-law suggested, she was like, you should put that on the wedding registry. And what does Jason's aunt do? She sees that on the registry and she buys it for us. This like $50 Edgar Allan Poe.
And he was the life of the
He
party.
was the life of the party.
Edgar Allan Poe was the life
He
of the
was
party.
in
Everybody wanted it. I put him
picture.
next to the photo booth.
And everybody wanted
everybody
a picture.
wanted a picture with Edgar Allan Poe. It was great.
But
So-
it fit with the theme. It really fit with the theme of the other things. It was
Yeah.
great.
And so, well, Edgar Allan Poe's just sitting in my office right now, just chilling. I have a big cardboard cutout of Edgar Allan Poe, of all things.
That kind of goes along with a thing. It took a little courage to do, but I did it, and I'm sure a lot of people questioned me on it.
Yeah.
About a little over a year ago, we had a memorial for my husband in the hometown where we grew up, and it took us a long time to get to the that memorial, to get to a place where we could do that memorial, because we were waiting on friends and family to be able to participate in it. But one of my husband's, I don't even want to call it a dying request, because he didn't make the request when he was dying. He made the request like 40 years ago when we were young, and he was talking about what he wanted to happen when he died, and he always said he wanted to have an Irish wake kind of thing, and he wanted people to come and drink and be merry, drink up all his booze, and he wanted to be he wanted a life-size cardboard cutout of himself to stand in the corner holding a cigarette and a drink or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he wanted to have this life-size cutout of himself there for everybody. And I know a lot of people questioned me when I did it, but he for 20 years or more, he talked about that. And so, and I didn't do it. Well, we did do, right after he died, we had a memorial, and I did open my home and have that Irish wake here. And we invited all our friends and had the most wonderful evening remembering my husband's life, with our family here, friends and family here. And then we went to Lubbock, and I was like, crap, I forgot the stand-up cardboard cutout, So I thought, I'm just going to order this. And so I actually found two different photos of my husband, two very different photos of my husband, and had them blown up to life size. And we stood them up at this memorial, and everybody commented on how cool it was. And so many people, just like with Edgar Allan Poe, went and had their photo taken with this cardboard cutout, because it was just so Mark. It was so Mark. And I don't know. It took courage, and a lot of people ask me, are you sure you want to do that? That's kind of weird, but I'm like, but that was what he wanted. And his friends knew that that's the kind of person he was. And they appreciated the fact that I upheld that. So I think it was good. I don't know. But it took a little courage to do that, because it's a little odd request, but I did it. So what about you, Kristen? I know you've done some things.
I mean, my best way to work out of that like fear mindset is to journal.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Because for me, it takes a while for my knucklehead to like sort something out or to come to realize something, and oftentimes it's after the fact.
Right.
So I see things a lot of times in retrospect. Like I avoid going to the DMV to get my registration or whatever.
That's an understatement.
Right. And so because I have like a fear of going to like those public government buildings and stuff. Like I don't like them.
I
And-
feel that.
And for me, it's more of a after the fact journaling about, like, when I did do that thing that was scary, journaling about it.
Right.
And then when I'm avoiding something, I journal about it. And sometimes it's just easy to just like say like one little sentence
right.
and then just like stew on it and then maybe come back to it later. So I may not be like over here typing up like a whole book about, oh my gosh, this thing is really blocking my chakras. And, like I don't
Right,
get like
yeah.
all deep in stuff about it and like peel the layers. But, I can just say like, so-and-so did this and my feelings were hurt and I didn't say anything because I
Of your-
didn't want to ruffle any feathers.
Right.
And then I may come back and be like, I realize now that I didn't want to ruffle feathers because I don't want this to happen or that to happen.
Right.
So it's kind of like the pros and cons, but I'm just like taking one bite at a time.
Uh-huh,
So I'm a little bit slower. Maybe it's more because I want to sit in the feeling of something versus
Right.
like the logic part of
Right.
it. And maybe because most of my fear stuff is illogical. And
Well, all fear is
it
illogical.
is, I
That's
know,
the thing.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I have a hard time,
Yeah.
like, even getting to the point of, like, talking myself into something
Right.
with pros and cons. Like,
Right.
my fears are usually avoidance and ignoring things. I almost said ignorance.
Yeah. Ignorance.
Ignorance. Ignoring something, avoiding it, maybe
Same.
almost to the point where I don't realize that I'm doing something in fear. And so oftentimes I don't think I'm at that point where I can talk myself into pros and cons
Right.
because I don't even realize that I'm acting in fear.
Right. Right.
And so for me, like, it takes a while for me to unpack it. And I've already gotten to like the next level when I realize, like I'm saying, I'm more of like a reactively understanding that I live in fear versus like preventing myself from living in fear. But I saw a really interesting, like, introspective question that I wanted to leave the topic with, which is asking yourself, what if you let go of the idea of what if, right? Because when you're living in fear, it's the what ifs,
Right.
What if I get
and
in
we
this
get stuck in
plane
the
and we
negative
crash?
side. We get stuck in
And
that
what
negative
if
side.
this happens, and what if that happens, and what if this happens, right? And you step into even if. And I liked that.
Oh. Yeah.
Instead of saying, what if I go on this trip and I'm miserable and I get lost because I'm alone? What if you said, even if I go on this trip and I get lost and alone, I will have X, Y, and Z. And I like that way of questioning it.
Right. I do too. I like that.
It's a cool kind of like fill in the blank journal type
Yes.
situation.
Well,
Yes.
and that's a great way to, both of you have talked about some different ways of coping with that fear. And actually, I've used all three of those ways at some form or another, depending on what level of fear I have. So I've done the meditation prayer thing, praying that
Yeah.
I will get the answer to whether I should go. I've done the thing about journaling. Sometimes my pros and cons is in the form of journaling. I'll just journal it out in my journal.
Yeah.
So those things kind of go together. But I do like that even if. So maybe that's the answer is to journal it, to pros and con it, to meditate on it or pray on it or whatever, and then follow once you've gathered all of that input, to take that and then say, okay, now we know what could happen. what if it did?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if it didn't?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
or even if this terrible thing happens, I'll survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really what the bottom line is that I'll be okay.
Yeah. I agree.
I am strong
Well, and this
and I'll master it.
there's a quote that I was looking for earlier, and I
Mhm.
wanted to share it, and I couldn't find it. But it was something about worry, which fear is worry, basically.
Yes.
When you worry, you are wasting time being afraid of what could happen
Mm-hmm.
instead of spending that time doing what will.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
So I don't know that was exactly how it was worded, but I like that because you spend a lot of time worrying about what could happen instead of just spending that time doing what would happen. Like, I spent a lot of time worrying what could happen if I went to Paris, if I decided to go to Paris by myself, what could happen, and instead of just going to Paris and enjoying what did happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like just saying, yes, I'm going to go. You could have spent that time before your trip
Doing something else.
doing
Doing
the little
something
art journal
else.
thing that you did
Yes.
right before you left.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things I could have
Yeah.
done that I should have done that I would have rather have done
Mm-hmm.
than sit there worrying about whether I should
Right.
go. Yeah.
Or like Amber's wedding, she could say, even if I have Edgar Allan Poe there and someone
And-
doesn't like it,
Or somebody doesn't like my colors. I like my colors. It's my wedding.
yeah, exactly. And I'm going
Yeah.
to do what I want.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
And she did. And if y'all have seen the pictures, I think we've shared them, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
They were
Oh,
beautiful.
wait, maybe.
Have we shared your pictures?
I don't think that we've shared any wedding.
You should share some of
Girlfriend,
those.
you should share a
Girlfriend, you
picture.
should share those because they're beautiful. They are beautiful. So, so yeah, there you
So
go.
I'll leave everyone with the last question. What have you postponed, avoided, or given up on because of fear? We want to hear from you. So make sure you hit us up on the podcast. Hit us up on the MMC chat on our Facebook group. You can also reach out to us on modernmusings.net. And Cindy, what are we talking about? Oh, actually,
It's Amber.
Amber, what are we talking about next week?
Oh, right. We're talking, we're going to do a book review on Richard Webster's How to Write Your Own Magic. So
Ooh.
that's going to be a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
And I can't
when we
wait.
step out of living in fear, we can write our own magic, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Nice.
I can't
nice.
wait.
Yeah, that'll definitely go with it.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're progressing through the year here. Hopefully these are helping you with your goals, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if you set goals at the beginning of the year and you're ready to start rock and rolling, now's the
Right.
time to
You got
kick
2
it up.
months left of
Yeah.
2025,
kick
right?
it up a notch.
Only two. Oh,
Oh,
my
well,
gosh.
3, technically 3. October, November, December. So,
Yeah, this is going by way too fast.
It
for
is
me.
going by
It's
too
going
fast,
by way
but-
too fast.
But you still got 3 months. So don't be afraid to tackle those goals.
Yeah, don't be afraid to make that phone call.
You know what you're talking about? I do. I hate making phone calls.
Oh, why is it like even just ordering to go food is
I know.
like the scariest thing ever?
I hate talking to people.
I know.
Gosh, and you're talking about going to the DMV. I hate like calling like government
calls.
like
The-
stuff.
cold calling
cold
people.
calls. My
Wow,
job.
Your job is cold calls.
That literally, like, I was just so excited to do something different that I was like, I guess I'll do it. But the first day I made calls, I was just like terrified
Oh yeah.
every time. And I like waffed and like didn't want to make a phone call. And like the whole time I was like, don't pick up, don't pick up, don't pick up.
Man, that's how I felt.
And
that
now
my
it's
brief
crazy.
stint.
Like, I teach other people how to do it. And it's
Yeah.
how
15
strange
years
is that?
it is.
later.
It is.
How strange is that?
Well,
that
that's how I was when I first started teaching, I had to I had such anxiety before I went into student teaching, and now I just do it efforts. I used to have such anxiety before the school year as far as like the students and everything, and now my anxiety is about dealing with the adults and their drama.
And you used to have
parent night. Parent night would be.
You
the
used to have a
scariest,
lot
I
of
think.
anxiety talking on this podcast.
Oh, remember the first episodes?
The first episodes, I barely talked.
You did, but you talk a lot more now. I'm so glad.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you've gotten over
I
that.
was barely there, barely around. The very
You were
first
there.
episodes.
You were there.
I was in the
Silently
room.
listening. Yeah.
Silently
I was in-
judging us.
I was in the room where it happened.
If you weren't asleep.
that one
That
one
one time.
I never
podcast,
lived down that
the
episode.
Cubs podcast.
Yeah, y'all go
I-
listen. I edited
Yeah.
out most of the snores, but
Yeah, go listen to the Cubs podcast because I literally slept through that podcast.
I didn't think it was that boring. But hey.
No, it wasn't. It's just
I know.
whenever
I was
someone is
tired.
reading out loud, you're just like, okay, go night night.
Right?
She'd had a hard
I
work
was
week.
tired. I
Yeah.
think we recorded at like 3 a.m.
Probably
maybe.
so. Probably
Yes.
so. All right.
Well, with that being said, I go night night.
Right?
Bye.
Bye.